Okay, we're going to read the school story. Just the chapter one or first page.
Yeah.
All right. So you'd be Natalie. I'll be Zoe.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can be the mom too. Is that all right?
No problem. Okay. So this is based off on the book, the school story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's start. By who? Who's the
Credits
author?
to Andrew
All right.
Clements.
That's the author. Okay.
Yeah.
The school story, chapter one. Fan number one. Natalie would peek into the school library, hoping to see a calming expression on Zoe's face. She would walk six steps down the hall, turn around, and pace back. She leaned against the library door, grabbing a piece of gum out of her backpack. Then, after a long hesitation, Natalie entered the library, mainly because the suspense was killing her, and also because Zoe was taking too long to read. Zoe always likes to read slowly, especially when it's a good story. And this one is good.
The Cheater by Natalie Nelson, page 12. I catch up with I catch up with Sean between 82nd and 81st Streets. His legs are longer than mine, so I'm panting. I grab his arm and he stops in front of a bodega. He says, "Why are you following me?" "I've got to talk to you." "Yeah, well, too bad. You had your chance to talk to me during the penalty board meeting, and you didn't. But if I told the truth, then the whole school would know I cheated. I'd get expelled." He just looks at me. "But you really didn't cheat, right? And I didn't really steal that answer key, right? And you know I didn't because you did, right?" I nod yes to all the questions. Sean is almost shouting now, his eyes wild. "So first you steal, then you cheat, and now you've lied? And me? You've left me to take all the punishment." To take the punishment.
Okay.
The shopkeeper is worried. He moves from the counter to the doorway of the bodega, looking at us. Sean ignores him and gets right into my face, screaming, "Well, guess what, Angela? We're not friends now, and I don't know if we ever were." He storms away, shoulders hunched, stabbing the sidewalk with every step. Me? I cry.
Zoe let page 12 slip onto the table and then stared at it, deep in thought.
"So what do you think?"
Natalie was right behind her and Zoe jumped 6 inches. Jeez, Natalie, you scared me to death. And you ruined a good moment, too.
"But what do you think? Is it any good?"
I think it's pretty good.
"Really?"
Natalie pulled out a chair and sat down, leaning forward. I mean, you're not just saying...
Wait, no, that's
See,
me,
I
sorry.
told you.
I mean, you're not just saying that because we're best friends?
Zoe shook her head. No, I mean it. It's good. Like, I can't wait to read the whole thing. Can you bring me the rest tomorrow? Natalie smiled and reached into her backpack. She pulled out a blue folder with a rubber band around it.
"Here, I've still got to write about 5 more chapters. I just needed to know if the beginning was any good. But you can read what I've got done if you want."
Zoe took the folder carefully and said, "This is great, but are you going to finish it? But you are going to finish it, right? Do you know the whole story already? Like, all the way to the end?" Natalie said,
"Not all the way to the end, but almost. I know how the end feels, but not exactly what happens. At least, not yet." Natalie's book had begun by accident on the bus with her mom late one afternoon back in September. 6th grade was already 3 weeks old, and both she and her mom had settled into the routine of commuting together. It was a Friday afternoon, and they were going home on the 5:55 coach, thundering through the Lincoln Tunnel from New York to Hoboken, New Jersey. Her mom looked exhausted. Natalie studied the face tilted toward her on the headrest. It was a pretty face, prettier than mine, she thought. But there were little lines at the corners of her mother's eyes and mouth. Care lines. Worry lines. Natalie said, "Hard day, Mom?" Eyes still closed, and her mom smiled and nodded.
The editorial department met all day with marketing department. All day.
Natalie asked, "How come?" When her dad died, Natalie had decided she needed to talk to her mom more. Sometimes she pretended to have interest in her mom's work at the publishing company, even when she isn't. Like now. Her mom said,
Well, the marketing people keep track of what kinds of books kids, parents, and teachers are buying. Then they tell us. And we're supposed to make more books, like the ones they think people will buy.
Natalie says, "Makes sense. So, what kinds of books do they want you to make?" Hannah Nelson lifted her head off the back seat back and turned towards Natalie.
Where am I?
We're on page 3.
I know. I'm a bit
Right here,
lost.
do you see me?
Yeah, yeah, okay. Here's a summary of a 6-hour meeting. Ready?
Natalie nodded. Her mom used a deep voice that sounded bossy.
People, we need to publish more adventure books, more serious books, and more school stories.
In her regular voice, she said,
Then that was it. A 6-hour meeting for something that could have gone into a 1-page memo or a 3-line email.
Then Natalie asked, "What's a school story?"
A school story is just what it sounds like. It's a short novel about kids and stuff that happens most at school.
Natalie thought for a second and then said, "You mean like Dear Mr. Henshaw?" And her mom said,
Exactly.
Then Natalie said to herself, "Hey, who knows more about a school than someone who's right there, 5 days a week, 9 months a year? I bet I could write a school story." And that's all it took. Natalie Nelson, the novelist, was born. Or almost born. Her career as an author didn't officially spring to life until about 4 months later, on that afternoon in the school library after Zoe read the first 2 chapters. Because it's the same for every new author, for every new book, somebody has to be the first to read it. Somebody has to be the first to say she likes it. Somebody has to be the first fan. And of course, that was Zoe.
Wow, very nice.
Thank you.
Wait Good job.
Thank you.
So, I have a question
Yes.
before we stop the recording. Are you inspired to be an author or a writer?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then I am your first fan.
Yay.
All right, and then we can be reading them off here as well.
Oh.
Okay. So this is it for today. Our bond moments with Lois. Thank
Yes.
you.
Oh, also before we end, we
Yeah.
might have a new guest soon.
Oh,
If they agree.
okay. Let's keep it shut and let it be a surprise for our next maybe podcast.
Alright.
This is a test run. I love you, Shobi. See you later.
Okay.
bye-bye.
I thought we were doing the real thing.
This is the real thing, and I'm gonna
And
upload
you
it.
say it's a test run.
A test run meaning is our first go at it, and let's see how it goes.
Okay.
And then
Where
we'll
you
make it
gonna
better.
Post it?
I have no idea yet. Maybe YouTube.
Okay.
Okay.
Facebook?
All right. Yeah, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, like that.
Okay.
Just give me